Ayan, good morning guys. Kamusta kayo dyan? Ay, good afternoon or good evening kung saan kayo. Fortunately, kahapon I was not able to do our meta. I'm still setting up other interviews. Biglang nag-shutdown yung screen ng isang laptop natin. I don't know, nasabotage tayo, na-hack tayo. Baka hindi natuwa yung mga ka-DTS sa mga pinagagawa natin. So I'm trying to see if I could get that laptop fixed. Biglang nawala lang yung screen niya and all. So I had to go to different repair centers and all. Ay, sinasabotage siya. Except, of course, since one-man troll farm tayo, may mga backup tayong dala. Just in case, except yun nga, yung mga main files natin all nandun sa isa. But it is what it is. Ito guys, follow up lang natin a couple of different developments. I think sa isang banda, it's becoming increasingly clear, no, na ang dami talaga nangyari mga problematic nung panahon ni Digong, not only in terms of anong ginagawa ng executive branch, hindi lang in terms of yung mga ginagawa ng tutan niya sa Kongreso back in the day, but also of course yung mga hindi nagawa ng Ombudsman Office. I mean, personally, a lot of us who were quite vocal during the Duterte administration and talking about transparency and accountability, naalala namin talaga malaking problema namin. I mean, and a lot of us were extremely worried about who would be Duterte's choice of ombudsman once Conchita Carpi Morales had to step down. And we were wondering anong pwede mangyari or actually hindi mangyari once Duterte gets someone into that position. And I remember very well when Martires was appointed. I was asking a couple of people who know something about the legal world and legal circles, and a lot of them were very very skeptical, very skeptical. So we were wondering from day one, no, basically from 2018 onwards, gaano ka maging ineffectual yung ombudsman office. What we did not anticipate, guys, perhaps, was how brazenly kumbaga ma-amplify or lalong lumala yung impunity, yung culture of impunity na nakita natin yung panahon. Hindi ko, I mean, you always hear this from mga ka-DDS natin, may iba, di, wala namang corruption pa rin, hindi ko, wala namang scandal, wala namang, malamang, walang malaking mangyari kung yung presidente mo na parang feeling dictator, na lahat takot sa kanya, tatakpan niya yung mga issue tapos yung mga tuta niya, 'di ba? Or yung mga dapat hindi tuta, mga independent na tao ay they act as if they look like a tuta, 'di ba? Kaya nga wala tayong ganun. There was and interestingly, even when Digong would admit that there's some sort of corruption, sabi niya wala man lang whiff of corruption or anything like that, walang follow through eh. Makikita mo na maraming tao dyan, three times na reappoint kahit may mga corruption cases. Tinanggal sa isang department, GSIS, sa Department of Tourism, nagkalat na naman, na-reappoint na naman, tapos nag-undersecretary naman sa ibang department. You know, so the impunity was crazy. And this is, yes, that's why ni-remind natin, yung mga DDS natin, mga disguise, their big project started 2016-17. Look at all the Zaldico project, right? Yung mga companies niya nung panahon ni Digong. But, you know, no wonder, sobrang walang transparency, sobrang walang efforts towards accountability ng panahon ni Digong, because isa sa mga institution na dapat in charge dito sa issue ng accountability, which is the ombudsman position, halos hindi nga kilala ng tao ano yung ginagawa ng ombudsman eh. Dahil nga sa sobrang palpak yung ginagawa ni Martires when he was in ombudsman office. People forgot there's even such thing as the ombudsman office almost. Right? Kasi halos walang ginagawa eh. 'Di ba? Halos walang ginagawa. Kaya talagang, for a lot of people, like, ano ba yung ombudsman office? Well, ngayon lang naalala ng tao na itong ombudsman office na to dahil finally of someone, hindi naman perfecto, I mean, let's see where things are gonna go. Someone who's actually recognizing meron palang trabaho ng ombudsman office. I mean, there are just so many things wrong. In fact, some people wonder why was he even, remember, ano yan eh, kahit anong sasabihin niya ngayon na pro Marcos Senior siya, hindi siya pro Duterte. This is a person who had a very questionable background, to be honest. First of all, hindi siya legal luminary, not a bar top notcher, not necessarily from the, you know, I don't want to be mean or anything like that. So he was not necessarily known as a leading legal mind or anything like that before being appointed by Duterte to the highest court. So that in itself makes you wonder what's going on there. And then of course, if you dig actually deeper into this, at medyo ano tong mamang to ha, medyo controversial. In fact, back in the day, there was another judge na nagsampa ng kaso laban sa kanya. And again, all of these things will be relevant if you look at the pagtitignan natin yung mga ano, 'di ba? Uh, yung mga lumalabas ngayon, tsaka dun sa iba sa amin na tinitingnan yung ginagawa ng ombudsman. So for instance, if you look at it guys, ito nung 2004, in fact, one judge filed the case against this Martires for gross neglect talaga. Ito yung isang administrative case na finalaban kay Martires back in the day. At tignan nyo naman guys, base dito sa complainant na judge niyan, itong Martires daw entertained allegedly a special proceedings of doubtful pedigree and interfered during the preliminary investigation stage of the investigation. Hastily and prematurely ordered the release of the suspect. Itong murder case to even if an officer of a duly mandated by law had already found probable cause suspect, and even if the office of the provincial prosecutor was still reviewing the case pursuant to the law. And he also issued and said order without even following the basic principles of due process. So, I mean, you can go on and on, you can dig out yung background ng tao na to. Dami mga questionableng bagay, I really suggest you guys to check it out. There are a couple of interesting also pieces about his background, ganun. So, una-una, this is not a person known necessarily as a top legal mind, no offense. There's nothing in his record that says he's an exceptional legal mind. Oh, by the way, nagtrabaho rin yata siya sa DPWH back in the day. I wonder how interesting were those days that he had in DPWH. And then, sa sobrang questionable yung kanyang conduct, you had another judge filing case against him when I think this is the time, Martires himself was an RTC judge. So, I'm just telling you guys, I mean, this guy was, ayoko naman sabihin sketchy, but there were a couple of things that makes you wonder what was going on here, diba? So, ipopost ko yung link mamaya, yung mga ibang mga sources talking about super questionable yung background ng tao na to. And makes you wonder, why would Digong elevate this person? Yes, I know both of them are from San Beda, blah blah blah. But makes you wonder, why would Digong elevate this person, diba? To the Supreme Court. Why would Digong elevate this person all the way to the Ombudsman office? And you could see exactly, right? Like I'm not sure under any other legit president. It's like you would have people of such I would say lofty background, diba? Elevated to such position. So really, I mean, I'm sure some people will say parang Mickey Mouse lang Mickey Mouse appointed appointees na mga to, and like there's dodginess all over the place, right? So when he was ombudsman, next thing you know, parang pinapapush, parang inaaway pa niya yung mga tao na naghihingi ng transparency doon sa financial and health condition of Digong. Parang shielding ang tingin ng iba dyan, di ba? For a lot of critics. There's also a lot of accusation that he gave towards the end of his term undue attention dito sa case ni Amy Marcos, dun sa supposed kidnapping kay Tatay Digong bago siya na-archive sa ICC. And of course, I mean, and just when you thought tapos nang usapan, maayos na lahat, ito, alis na tong taong to, tong mamang to, wala nang meron pala mga 11, hindi nga 11th hour parang almost just before midnight. Ang dami niyang mga appointees, grabe, mga last minute appointees na yan. At ang palusot, hindi, okay lang naman, hindi naman kami political office so wala naman, technically, wala naman midnight appointees. Pag mga, pag ombudsman ka, kasi hindi naman kami political office. I mean, sobrang questionable, guys. Why would this person, right, appoint so many people, last minute put so many people in different parts of the ombudsman office, if ito talagang tong tao ito, kakaiba talaga. Papakita ko talaga. Ito, Martires denies midtime appointments. Ito he maintained that his appointment of more than 200 individuals to various positions in the agency just before he stepped down was supposedly necessary Right? Sabi niya, eh hindi naman ano yan, applicable sa amin yan because yung Section 5, Article 7 ng ating saligang batas does not cover naman yung Office of the Ombudsman. At tapos sabi niya, the said provision specifically states that the 2 months immediate before the next presidential elections and up to the end of the a president or acting president shall not make appointments except temporary appointments to executive positions when continued vacancies therein will prejudice public service. So basically, naghahanap lang siya ng mga ek-ek dyan para lang ma-justify niya. Nevertheless, honestly, I'm wondering, I don't have made that a point is because we're not a political office. Basically, yun yung palusot niya. 'Di ba? Even though I'm yet to hear kind of any independent thinker telling us, including from some former ombudsman, uh, I'm yet to hear from Conchita more or less na you need to put 200 people in different positions just before you have to step down. I mean, that's like sketchy. That's super sketchy. Like, what's going on here? Um, aside from tapos ito ba, nag-create pa ng 60 new posts sa Ombudsman Office. And, ibang klase talaga. So, kaya nga, tama lang ginawa ni Remulla na the moment he came back immediately, not only did he ask for the, kumbaga, yung freezing of SAL and requirements to be basically unleashed. Parang, ano na, hayaan nyo na yan. Wala na yung mga ganun. Remulla also ordered the 204 newly hired and newly promoted employees, karamihan itong mga abogado, to submit their courtesy resignation para titignan talaga ano bang basihan talaga ng kanilang appointments, anong pinaggagawa nila, 'di ba? Ito, Assistant Ombudsman and Spokesperson Clavano, who's now taken over, has disclosed that some of the 204 employees have already tendered their courtesy resignation immediately, 'di ba? And also sabi niya, the Ombudsman is aware he's giving another chance to this individual to file the courtesy as a show of good faith kasi meron pa yung iba ayaw pa mag-resign. Digging in their heels, diba? Sobrang sketchy, dodgy. Or tignan mo ito, nung tinatanong ng tao, so hindi lang parang sinishield pa allegedly sila Digong and all of that from any kind of financial scrutiny, salen, etc. Ito pa, nung tinanong ombudsman 2 years ago, bakit parang halos walang nahuhuli, walang kaso ganun. Itong sinabi niya. Hindi naman mahalaga yung conviction rate, 'di ba? So ano bang trabaho ng ombudsman? Ano, figurine kayo diyan, nagmamaganda lang kayo diyan. Ano kayo diyan? Pillar of inspiration. Ano yung ginawang award kay Digong? Binigyan award ng Digong. Pillar of Pillar of law. Oh, actually bibigyan yata siya ng award nung eskwela ni Digong. Ito, Ombudsman Martires, this is back in 23, said his office efficiency should not be based on his conviction rate, which was really on a downward trend since 2020, right? Ito, dinidefend niya yung office niya from, a lot of criticisms. Kasi humingi nga ng budget, humingi nga ng ganun, tapos sinitingnan ng tao, ano bang pinaggagawa? Ito yung ombudsman conviction rate went from 60% in 2020, it collapsed to 40% in 2021, and then totally collapsed to just 26% conviction rate in 2022. At ang palusot naman niya is hindi naman yun ang dapat basihan ng performance natin. So, paano namin titignan ayaw mo nga ma-reveal yung salan nila Digong and all back in the day. Wala kang kino-convict at all. Tapos ito, mas malala pa, meron ka pa palang mga quote-unquote secret decisions kung saan si Joel, ayan, 'di ba? Dito talaga lumalabas lahat. Kaya I was wondering what was this guy thinking na he could just get away with all of this? So ngayon lumalabas na lahat na binuking naman, meron pala siyang secret decision to stop yung dismissal ni Joel Villanueva from noon pa. So ito yung secret decision by former Ombudsman San Martires has prompted his successor, according to the report, Remulla, to scrap a plan to seek the ouster of Villanueva for the senator's alleged involvement dito sa pork barrel scam over a decade ago, 'di ba? So back then, if you remember, the accusation was that the senator allegedly misused his pork barrel funds when he was a representative of anti-corruption party list. In 2018, allegedly the congressman requested the release of 10 million from his priority development assistance for what was later deemed as a non-existent project. So, ang sinabi ni Remulla dyan is, to my surprise, when I got to the office, I was confronted with a decision signed by former Ombudsman Martires dated July 2019. It only came out when I said that the Ombudsman would be taking action on them matter. All right. So ito, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what's going on here. Um, so let's see. Kasi this was carried over from Conchita Morales and then to Martires later on, and then kung ano na mga nangyari dyan. So, I mean, you look at it from every angle, conviction rate, uh, basically trying to shield the digong from any kind of sudden scrutiny. Tingnan mo yung background ng tao yan, ng klaseng abogado yan, ano may mga reputasyon ng tao yan. And then you wonder bakit digong would put him in Supreme Court. Then next thing, digong would put him as the ombudsman. And then you'll see like walang nangyayari. Next thing na biglang nung ek-ek sila Amy Marcos, biglang inaksyonan or biglang na-delay yung ombudsman appointment ni Remulla, di ba? Yung actually candidacy pa lang niya, nahihirapan na siya dahil biglang binibigyan pa ng attention yung mga ek-ek na kidnapping cases. So, I mean, this is serious. And in fact, and we're hoping also to have Justice Ascuna back with us. In fact, some are suggesting dapat titignan itong kaso na ito because if indeed there was an abuse of power, if indeed there was a shielding of officials, sketchy officials from any kind of scrutiny, pwede siya makasuhan administrative. And more than that, baka matanggalan pa ng pension. Although, I wonder if this kind of people really just rely on their pension. But, no, I mean, there has to be consequences. So, I think dapat seriously talaga titignan kung may abuso talaga nangyari. There was a gross neglect of duty or abuse of discretion or even something worse. Dapat talaga titignan mabuti yan. Because just because the Ombudsman Office is not a political office, it doesn't mean that they can just do whatever they want. And the same way na sinabi natin, hindi lang dapat natin titignan yung Ombudsman Office, dapat titignan din natin, guys. For instance, yung Sandigan Bayan. Kamusta naman ang Sandigan Bayan? As we discussed the other day, lahat happy times yan. Binay, Enrile, Napoles, lahat sila nakakwit sila right and left. Ang dami mga Marcos cronies, ang dami mga tao na allegedly involved sa mga ill-gotten wealth ng mga Marcoses back in the day. All of them, suddenly next thing you know, happy times sa Sandigan Bayan. Kamusta naman ang Sandigan Bayan? Well, like, guys, this is important kasi we have to pay attention talaga. Alright? We have to really pay attention to what's happening not only sa ating Senado, what's happening sa sinong presidente natin, hindi lang yung sino nagpapasikat, anong na mga huling ek-ek na naman sinabi ni Barzaga. Hindi ganun, guys. We have to look at other angles, important angles here, guys. And look at also yung trabaho or hindi ginagawang trabaho ng mga iba't ibang ahensya ng ating estado. Kasama dyan yung mga non-elected positions. Kaya nga talagang babantayin natin ang nangyari sa Ombudsman, sa Sandigan Bayan, etc. Because if those parts work well, di ba? Parang body parts yun, di ba? If your kidney is not doing its job, if your liver is not doing its job, even if okay yung ibang parts ng body mo, everything will be affected. So, dapat babantayin mo yung mga parte din ng katawan mo na naglilinis ng katawan mo, na nag-maintain ng katawan mo, or just like your heart is pushing for circulation. So, ganun din yan. If you're allowing for these other parts ng inyong estado, katulad ng ombudsman, sanligibayan, if they're not doing their job, or they're sleeping on their job, or something worse, apektado buong sitwasyon diba? At mga politiko, hindi sila matatakot dahil all they need to do is pakit sila sa media or hintayin lang nila, magpalamig lang sila, and then after a few years, dahil ang bagal ng mga kaso, dahil mawala ng mawala ng attention na yung attention na span ng tao, biglang mawala na sila ng focus sa issue, and then after a few years, back to happy times na naman, diba? Anyways, having said that, in the meantime, the ICI picked up the pieces, and now there's a big debate with about the direction of the ICI, but it looks like the ICI is beginning to gain momentum. No, so sa isang banda, finally after all of the public pressure we placed on the ICI, salamat sa lahat ng ating mga kababayan, sa lahat ng mga good leaders, progressive leaders yan who put pressure. Ito na, ICI is transitioning na to public hearings, which is very good. There was even a report that Bongo and some of the other powerful senators were also being asked to go there. Dininay na ICI, but yung position ni Senator Trillanes and some other things. Let's see what's gonna happen there. And then allegedly daw dinidala pa si Amy Marcos para ano. Anyways, that's why we need transparency. We need transparency para walang kalokohan nangyari. But that's why also we need the ICI and we need momentum on the part of ICI. Ngayon, kung titingnan nyo guys, Ngayon, the ICI is recommending filing of cases over yung flood control scandal against at least 6 different officials, including ex-Undersecretary Roberto Bernardo, ex-COA Commissioner Mario Lipana, ex-Caloocan Representative Mitch Uy, and of course, ito, yung kasama ni Harry dyan sa Europe, si Zaldico, na ngayon ay resigned congressman. Biglang naging resigned congressman. But, interestingly, parang hindi na pala safe. Jingoy and Joel. J and J. So, J and J are officially may recommendation by the ICI. Ito yung report na nakikita ko online by Batas PH among others. So, the ICI is finally moving towards recommendation of filing of cases. So, sana tuloy-tuloy lang itong movements na yan because we want this to go to the courts na para titignan talaga ng mga korte anong ebidensya, kung may basihan talaga dito, and then accordingly titignan natin if some people have to be removed from their positions in office. Sobrang gulong mga bagay-bagay, but I don't know, I think Lacson coming back right now is probably also a signal that maybe the Senate is feeling confident, maybe the momentum is there, maybe we're moving towards something. Now, having said that, obviously, given yung scale ng corruption na nakikita natin sa ating bansa, from 10 billion pesos during Napoles to 10 billion dollars potentially in recent years, sa sobrang malala ng corruption, always sasabihin mo, yan lang gagawin natin. But guys, step by step tayo, diba? Step by step tayo. We have to keep on going. Para sa akin, we have to do this proper. Because if we do this proper, kung naiintindihan natin saan galing ang problema, ano yung mga kumaga obstacles, 'di ba? Saan yung mga nagka-clog yung system, 'di ba? So, kung maintindihan natin ano yung trabaho ng ombudsman, anong hindi nagawa, anong kailangan gawin, anong trabaho ng Sandigan Bayan, kung naintindihan natin ano yung mga ugat ng mga problema natin ngayon when it comes to corruption, lack of transparency and accountability, pag naintindihan natin mo yan, and then sabay push lang tayo ng push, you create the momentum towards that. Kaya sabi ko, yes, kung sino mga politiko, they have political consideration. Pero para sa atin, ng consideration natin yung kinabukasan ng bayan, ang consideration natin is really accountability on all levels. We have to take every little win and then work from there to get bigger wins. That's really the only way, guys. Because kung manggugulo lang tayo or nagpapagulo lang tayo, kung magpapauto tayo, magpapabudol tayo, magpapakudeta tayo, whatever, guys, this is not good for anyone. And nakita ko 60 pesos almost na per dollar. So clearly, this is having a bad impact on our economy. It's going to make imports more expensive. Yes, in theory, it's going to make exports cheaper, except we're not an industrialized, export-oriented economy, at least not yet, diba? So, in the meantime, a lot of our imports are going to get more expensive. For some of us who are traveling, for some of us who need to buy ticket, need to go to abroad for whatever needs, everything is going to be more expensive. So, this is just gonna get worse if we don't do it properly. Kaya sabi ko, hindi perfecto ng sistema. Right? Pero para kang may pasyente na ang daming problema, but hindi naman pwede electric shock mo na lang and then everything will be okay, right? Baka mamatay pa. So, it's very important, guys, to really unti-unti ayusin mo yan, di ba? Kung may multiple organ failure, you try to make interventions and slowly help different key organs to recover. It's not an ideal situation. It's a difficult situation, guys. Gusto mo mag-give up. Gusto mo sabing hopeless case yan. But this is really how you save the patient. And in this case, the patient is our democracy. Alright? On that note, maraming salamat, guys. Maraming salamat. Hopefully, we'll have sila Sir Ronald, Justice Ascuna, and others back on this show soon para pag-usapan itong mga issue na yan. But in the meantime, I just hope people realize ang dami kasi mga moving parts dito and we cannot have simplistic solutions here. We have to be really systematic sa ating analysis because kung hindi proper yung analysis natin, guys, we will come up with wrong solutions or worse, magpapabudol na naman tayo. And ito ulit yes, lahat ng presidente natin, we can go all the way back to Quezon, may problema. Walang question yan. But there was a different level of impunity. Next level, yung parang from PBA, nag-NBA level, yung impunity and corruption from the previous administration coming into now. So yung mga ka-unit team natin dyan na BBM ng 2016 kasi galit kay Lenny and then unit team sa 2022, wala kayong moral ascendancy. Zero credibility kayo. Alright? Actually, negative yung credibility nyo. So, just sit this out. Alright? Huwag kayong magmaganda. Alright? Huwag kayong mag-Barzaga effect. Anyway, nalalawas na rin yan. So, this is what I'm talking about, guys. Alright? On that note, thank you very much. Maraming salamat. Please don't forget to follow us on different platforms. And tuloy-tuloy lang natin itong discussions natin. In the meantime, I'll try to hope sana, God willing, maayos yung isang laptop natin. The screen just gave away. I don't know what. Baka na-overwork siya with everything. So, I'll try to resolve that. And that's why wala tayong meta kahapon. I was hoping to do a meta in between breaks and all of that. On that note, thank you very much. God bless, guys, and talk to you soon.